The riverbank was tense with anticipation as cages lined up, each holding a water vole, creatures once lost from these waters. Their absence had left a silence in the British countryside, a missing heartbeat in the river's story. Now, we were trying to bring them back. As each cage door opened, some voles hesitated, others darted into the reeds, returning to a wild world full of danger. Conservationists watched, hope and concern etched on their faces. We'd prepared them as best we could, but once free, their fate was their own. This was more than a conservation project, it was an attempt to restore a piece of our natural heritage. Water voles are gentle, chocolate-furred architects of the riverbank, vital to the ecosystem. Their return was a gamble, a roll of the dice for a species on the brink. The last vole vanished into the undergrowth, leaving empty cages as silent witnesses. The team packed up quietly, knowing the real work had just begun. Now came the waiting, the monitoring, the search for signs of success or failure. Had we given them a fighting chance? Had we chosen the right spot? As the sun set, uncertainty settled over us. We'd lit a small candle in the darkness, hoping it would not be snuffed out. The riverbank, once silent, now held a fragile hope. Would the water voles plop return to the soundtrack of the countryside? Only time would tell if our gamble would pay off. The story of their return had just begun. Why did water voles vanish? The answer is a familiar one: invasive species and habitat loss. The main culprit was the American mink, brought to the UK for fur farming. Escaped mink became relentless predators, devastating water vole colonies. The voles, unprepared for such a hunter, had nowhere to hide. Even their burrows weren't safe. By the 1990s, water vole numbers had crashed by over 90%. But mink weren't the only problem. Rivers were straightened, dredged, and their banks hardened, destroying the lush vegetation voles needed. The neat canal-like rivers we created became deserts for water voles. No food, no shelter. Squeezed into shrinking pockets, isolated populations were easily wiped out. The decision to bring them back was a desperate rescue mission. First, we had to control mink and restore riverbanks. Only then could we hope to reintroduce the voles. It was a huge undertaking, a chance to fix what we had broken. The fate of the water vole depended on it. The release was the final act in a long, careful process. It began with captive breeding, selecting healthy voles, raising them in safety, building up a strong, diverse population. Choosing release sites was just as critical. Lush banks, slow water, and most importantly, no mink. Years of trapping and monitoring cleared rivers of mink before any vole returned. On release day, voles arrived in special boxes, then spent days in pens on the riverbank to acclimatize. This soft release gave them a gentle introduction to their new home. Hundreds were released across the UK, from East Anglia to Scotland and Wales. Each release was a community event, scientists, volunteers, and school children all involved. The meticulous planning, from breeding to habitat restoration, was designed to give Ratty the best possible homecoming. It was a collaborative effort, a statement of hope. Every step aimed to tip the odds in the voles' favor. The mission was precise, patient, and passionate. Now the wild would decide. Once free, the voles faced a world of challenges. Predators, stoats, weasels, foxes, herons were ever-present threats. The voles, raised in safety, had to learn quickly to survive. Weather posed dangers too. Cold snaps, droughts, and floods could devastate colonies. Finding enough food was a constant struggle. Water voles are picky eaters, needing a rich variety of plants. Establishing a new population meant finding mates, digging burrows, and raising young, all while avoiding danger. If too few survived, the colony could fail before it began. Their survival depended on resilience, luck, and the health of the riverbank. Every day was a test. The race was on to build a self-sustaining colony. The wild was unforgiving, but hope persisted. Our hopes were simple but ambitious: save the water vole from extinction and see them thrive again. We wanted them to recolonize rivers, becoming a common sight once more. But we also saw them as keystone species, tiny ecosystem engineers. Their burrowing and grazing would reshape riverbanks, boost plant diversity, and create habitats for other creatures. We hoped their return would spark a cascade of positive change. Water voles could help manage vegetation, opening space for wildflowers and pollinators. We dreamed of more colorful, vibrant riverbanks. Most of all, we hoped their story would reconnect people with nature. Ratty's return could inspire communities and prove that restoration is possible. The water vole was more than a symbol, it was a catalyst for healing. We wished for a future where nature and people thrived together. What happened next exceeded our hopes. In many places, water voles didn't just survive, they thrived, transforming their new homes. Their burrowing and grazing reshaped riverbanks, even altering the flow of water. Collapsed banks created new gravel shelves in shallow areas, diversifying habitats for fish and insects. The voles were rewilding the river, making it messier and healthier. Their activity slowed water flow, helping manage floods naturally. The messy banks acted like sponges, absorbing and releasing water more gradually. The ripple effect was profound. More insects, wildflowers, birds, and bats returned. Kingfishers found better hunting grounds. The whole ecosystem revived. We set out to save one species but unleashed a wave of positive change. Nature proved more interconnected than we imagined. The humble water vole became a force for transformation. Their return was a revelation. The water vole's return is more than a conservation story. It's a lesson in nature's complexity. Ecosystems are webs of relationships, where every thread matters. We once overlooked the vole's role as gardener and engineer. Its disappearance unraveled the riverbank's tapestry. Its return helped weave it back together. This experience changed conservation. Focus shifted from single species to restoring whole processes. Rewilding means letting nature's engineers, like voles, heal the land. The broader impact is hope. We can reverse damage and spark recovery. The sight of a vole diving into water is proof of nature's resilience. Ratty's story inspires us to be bolder for nature. The vole connects land, water, and people, reminding us we're part of nature's web. Every species matters, no matter how small. Ratty is back, and with him, a world of change.